there was only one continent. I am not going to endeavor to pronounce the guy's name, but in Genesis chapter 10, I think it's 10, it's either 9 or 10, it says that this one guy, his name is spelled P-E-L-E-G, that during his days, the continents were divided. The continents were divided during his days. During his lifetime, the continents divided. You see, even science tells us that this planet started off with one continent. God told us that a long time ago. And even God told us when it happened that they separated. They think it happened all somewhere at this point and everything. But anyway, with that, another point here is that the reason that this Genesis 1, days 1 through 6, the importance of it being a renewing of the face of the earth versus the creation of the earth is because there are some Christians, and they're good people, that believe the earth has only existed for 6,000 years. Well, in all honesty, the Bible does not tell us how long the earth existed. Has it been in existence? It just says, in the beginning, God made the heavens and the earth. Now, what we do know is that humanity, Adam and Eve forward, we have been here about 6,000 years. That's the history of humanity, from Adam and Eve forward. We've been here about 6,000 years. And I got something more to say about that here in just a little bit. When we get talking about the sun, moon, and stars, there's some important pieces to that scientifically that helps us understand we've been here 6,000 years. And that first week took place about 6,000 years ago. And that's scientifically verifiable. Now, we don't know how long this planet's been here because, as we saw last week, there's been stuff here before us. So we don't know. The earth might be millions or billions of years old. I don't know. But this particular creation, we've been here about 6,000. And that's it. That's how long we have been here. And that the story of Genesis 1, verse 3 forward, that happened about 6,000 years ago. And so when they say, well, this is a billion years old, it might be. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't bother me that they say that. Because again, the one thing that we have to understand, if we understand Scripture correctly, and we have accurate scientific information, those two things will never disagree. Because God is not a man that he should lie, and if the scientific part is understood properly, it will all agree with what God said because God made it. But sometimes there's misunderstandings on either side that creates problems. And I like Kenneth Hagin's. Let's go into the theory of evolution. I like Kenneth Hagin's definition of a theory. He says a theory is a supposition based upon ignorance of the subject at hand. And that's all it is. Now, a lot of scientists try, no, it's been proven. It's not been proven at all. And we've got to understand something there. There's a difference between the evolving of species and the origin of species. You see, everything that has been made, God made it. Now, I don't know that we've got the same chicken that Adam had. I don't know that it looks alike. Matter of fact, we probably got more different kinds of chickens than Adam had, because you can actually create breeds of animals. Those things, I don't know that we've got the same one he had in there, but the first ever chicken was in the garden. And to the old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken. God made animals, he didn't make eggs. And now there has been evolution within the species, but the evolution of a species is not accurate. That has not happened. And that's why they still keep looking for things. And they don't really find it the way they would like it. And they just say, well, there's something here between this, but we know this went from here to this, and there was something in between. Well, okay, you keep going. But anyway, we don't know how long the earth has been here. We just don't know. But humanity's been on the earth 6,000 years. The first 6 days were 6,000 years ago, the 6 days of our creation. Now, let's go and look at some things in Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2. I call it some things to consider in those two chapters. Because it's good to know, especially if you're dealing with a person that is an adamant unbeliever, or even an adamant agnostic, that, well, if there is a God, I just don't know. One of the things that they'll usually start bringing out is things about creation. Things about how all of this started. Because they say, well, if it started 6,000 years ago, then why is all this stuff dating for 1 billion years ago? Well, it don't matter. Because there was something before here, before Adam and Eve. And again, we don't know exactly what, but we do at least see evidence of that. And as we looked last time, in 2 Peter chapter 3, the Apostle Peter basically said that, scoffers in the last days would say that things have always continued the same. And that Jesus coming back and there being a new heaven and a new earth and all the elements melting with fire, that's just a fairy tale. It's not a reality. Everything has always existed the same. Peter actually points out and he says, no, that's not been the case. He basically says there was, and he identifies in chapter 3, a world that then existed that ended up being overflowed with water, Genesis 1:2, and it perished. Now, science refers to it this way. They call it a global extinction. From a scriptural standpoint, the way we should see it is, yes, there was a global extinction in days gone by that caused the earth to be overflowed with water, and that global extinction came about because of the judgment of God. He did it once, and He can do it again. And